Hey, everybody, before we get into the interview today, I can't sit here and act like nothing has happened. A week and a day ago, George Floyd was murdered by 4 police officers and has sent my city, Minneapolis, where we're based, and so many other cities into chaos, and with good reason. Police brutality against black people is nothing new. Thank God that woman took those images that now have set the world on fire so we can see with our own eyes what black people have been dealing with forever. Everybody here at Music on the Run loves Minneapolis, loves our black community, and we will figure out a way through this. Sometimes it's difficult to know exactly what to do. I've been asking. I think right now the best thing that I know how to do is listen, educate, and financially support our community and the rebuilding of our community. There's been so many minority-owned businesses that have been victims of arson and rioting. And now the problem is when these landlords rebuild these buildings, some of these businesses won't be able to come back because the rent's going to be higher. We need to put our money where our mouth is and help support the community, your community, my community. Directly here in Minneapolis, the family of George Floyd has a memorial fund on GoFundMe.com. Dollars are needed at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Black Lives Matter can use your funds. Communities United Against Police Brutality can use your funds, and so can the Minnesota Freedom Fund. These are just a few of the funds that you can support. Minneapolis, you are my hometown. I live here. I love you. We will be better. We have to be better. We have to be aware. Our eyes can no longer be shut. We know what we're dealing with here. So keep your eyes open, look out for each other, and stand up for each other. Thanks for listening. Now check out this great interview with Mr. Dave King. Hey everybody, St. Paul here. Welcome to episode 14 of Music on the Run. I'm on a run, as a matter of fact. 7 miles today, but I wanted to introduce you to our next guest, drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Dave King. He is next on Music on the Run. Hey everybody, St. Paul Peterson here, and welcome to episode 14 of Music on the Run. Again, you're in the Peterson family basement where a lot of notes have been played, rehearsed. We've had some incredible hangs down here in this basement, and it's fun to be broadcasting from here. My next guest is an incredible, incredible musician, a composer, drummer, pianist, a comedian, a radio host, and a founding member of Happy Apple and the Bad Plus, who always is on the search for what? We'll find out in this episode. Please welcome Dave King. Dave, how are you, man? Thanks for taking the time to come on, man. Where are you right now?
I'm in the border of North Minneapolis and Robbinsdale. I was in downtown St. Paul, and then I got a new place in this area. Near the Victory Memorial Parkway, that area. You know that?
Oh, great. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So a couple blocks from North Minneapolis.
You and I have been trying to hang out for months.
We have, absolutely. I've been trying to hang out with you ever since I saw you in Purple Rain.
Well, that's 35 years ago, but who's counting?
I tried then. It didn't work.
You were just young enough, a little bit younger than me, so I suppose we kind of
like ships
I'm
passing.
younger. You look younger than me. I am younger than you. That's the trade-off, Paul.
I'm not sure about that. Hey, look, I'm going to try your hairstyle next, by the way. That's going to happen sooner than I want to, but I'm okay with that. You look good, man. You look good.
You look good too. You look good too.
So tell me how, by the way, you and I, we're the same, you and me. You had a paper route for how many years?
I had for 8 years.
Who did you deliver? What paper?
I delivered the Star Tribune, Minneapolis Star Tribune.
Me too.
And my father, can I tell you the story real quick?
I wish you would, because this is the good stuff.
Okay, this is the good stuff, and I'm glad this is a genius podcast because this is the only interesting stuff. You and I know that.
The rest is all fluff.
The music stuff is like, what are we explaining here? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
No.
I don't know if you know what we're doing. I don't.
Right.
But my father was in the military, and he was born on a farm in North Dakota, probably in that order. He was in the military, and then he was born on a farm. That's how abstract he is. But anyway, the point is that he was had this ethos of get up in the morning, and what doesn't matter if we're not on a farm, you're going to get up in the morning and do something, work like I did, the chores and the blah, blah, blah. That was his thing. And so when my older brother and I was 6 and he was 7.5, and my dad was like, we're getting the paper out. You guys are going to get up on Saturday and Sunday morning at 5 a.m. and do the paper out. And then Monday through Friday, after school, you're going to deliver the Monday through Friday paper. So it was 7 days a week. And I did it from age 6 till 14.
6
years old.
How do you deliver paper? How do you do that?
This is true. And so on the Sunday papers are really big, and we'd have to make them. And then we would load the two parts, the components of the Sundays, because they load the comics. You load the comics in, and then he would drive, and we would walk in the snow or anything. And my brother would take one side of the street, and I'd take the other side of the street. And he would put the paper together and stack them in the back seat of the car. And we would reload 2 or 3 at a time, how many you could carry. And then the older we got, we were able to carry more. Saturday paper was no big deal because it's thin. You just take a bunch of them out of a bag and just go through the snow. I was 6 years old doing that. That's a true story.
That is unbelievable. I think having a paper route is cool. I mean, I did it too, and I remember my mom, and you know who my mom was, Jeannie Arlen Peterson, this great jazz pianist. She'd probably gig until 2 a.m, and then I got up. I'll never forget this. One time there was a blizzard, and I had one of those yellow paper carts that were kind of, remember those?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a paper shack where we'd go get our papers, stuff our papers, put them in the cart, grab our bags. But this was back when we would get 2 feet of snow in a single snowstorm.
Yes.
So this kid at 5 a.m, the plows aren't out. I'm trying to push this thing. So mom says, I got you, honey. So she would drive me after the gigs, and I'd go deliver my papers. But I'm telling you, that made me a man.
What it made me do is it made me say, I'm never going to treat my children that way.
You're not going to work out of the womb.
Oh, man, all it did was I got to live the fantasy of being one of those dads. It's like, you can sleep in. You can go to church if you want. I don't care.
Yeah. You were the opposite.
I am the opposite in many ways, but one of them is I get what you mean. Like we had to do that, and we had to work for it in that certain way. And I get the thing. Your mom taking you after gigs, that's fantastic. My dad had a little bit more of a military approach.
Is that right? I hear you.
He was a little bit like you'd be asleep and your bed would get kicked. So can you imagine, Paul, like this is why to this day, man, when I'm on tour and somebody is really trying to move the lobby call as early as like everybody's sweating the airport and I'm the one going, dudes, this is a puddle jump from Germany to blah, blah, blah. This is nothing. We're going from whatever to whatever. We don't need to sweat this so much. I'm still the last one out of my room. Like I don't keep people waiting like in a sort of negative, selfish way. But I'm the one the night before saying, I need 50. We can carve 15 more minutes here.
Pushing the envelope.
In America. Yeah, because I have this memory of like, it's 5 a.m. and all of a sudden a giant person is kicked inside of my bed and said like, get up. Then that was literally what the words were.
Get up.
Get up.
So there was a pastoral care there, I guess you'd call that pastoral care, right?
So when I hear the term tough love, I'm always like, nah, how about just love? How about that?
Yeah, forget the tough. Omit tough.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm just going to do the love part with my kiddos. Everything seems to be just fine.
I want to know what other weird jobs you had before you were able to do this like you're doing it now. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's again, you're doing my dream podcast, man. You beat me to this, buddy. I had this idea for a while. I was going to do this thing called Know Your Improviser, and I was going to call like famous jazz guys that I sort of know and blah 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 blah. Mostly from my generation, because the older cats, I'm not going to. Call up Billy Hart and ask him like, hey, Billy,
Billy,
can you tell me what your favorite cookie is? All these things.
But that's what, I mean, hey, look, that's what this podcast is about. And by the way, what is your favorite cookie? No.
Before I became allergic to cinnamon, it was a snickerdoodle. How about that?
I
will say this, Paul. It is super fun to talk with you, man. You're such an incredible musician. I want to state that right away, that you were such a legend in this area and still are. And like, I was a kid, like you said, I'm 49. I don't know how old you are, but when you're 15, 14 years old, and like, I was checking out, of course, all the funk scene and also all the punk rock scene and the avant-garde jazz scene. So, like I was into Eric Gravatt and everything, and then everybody knew who you were. You were like the pop, like you were like the pop Prince, like chosen one. And then the Peterson family, of course, is just in the jazz circles. It's just like the Marsalises of our area, as you know. And I mean, as you know, that's how you guys are looked at. And everything from me, studying with Gravatt to knowing, Eric Gravatt to knowing about the natural life stuff through that. Sure. Just the whole family and Bobby and everybody. And so it's just fun to get to chat with you finally like this, because I've known, you on and off for years, but you're just such a badass and legendary musician. So we'll get that out of the way.
Wow. Well, Thank you. And that's the end of Music on the Run podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.
But anyway, and it is fun. It is fun to go back and check out Purple Rain, and there you are. It's hilarious, man. I got questions.
Don't blink, man. Don't blink. You'll miss my 35 seconds that I'm still getting a check for.
I'm sure that you're bombarded every time you talk about how much you and Prince were a vibe on and off, I'm sure, over the years. But anyway, my point, I'll tell you one fun Prince story with me and him, but
please,
I'll tell you that in a minute.
Please.
But
okay.
Some of the jobs I had were the paper out, of course, and then post paper out, and I have a fun story about that, is all the money from the paper out was taken and put into an account for my education later. So I never got to spend any of it either. And then the brutal part, Paul, is that my older brother, who did it with me, he was kind of a ne'er-do-well in the high school years. He ended up somehow hacking into my account, and he took the money.
Older brother.
My older brother took all of the money that I made as a paperboy, and he took it and bought drugs with it.
Did he? Did he share?
No. He bought drugs and sold drugs.
There's a book here, The Paper Route Drug Money.
Yeah, how's this for some Freudian Dave King stuff for you, man?
Woo!
I mean, I've been wanting to use my name in the third person for a while, by the way, and I just...
You can.
Did you see that?
Third person Dave King Day today.
There we go. Why not, Paul? I've lost everything else, so I might as well just start referring to myself as the third person.
I think you should.
So it'll make me so I feel like this version of me didn't lose everything. So he took the money, and I was going to buy a car because I was going to move right out of high school. I went to New York for a while. I was going to try and check out the scene. I was only 18. I'm like, oh my God, 18. I wasn't in music school. I didn't go to music college or anything. I didn't have the money for any of that.
Right.
And so I had my paper out money, though. I'm like, I'm going to buy a car. So then it was like, then the money was gone. And I was just like, wait a minute, how did he do that? He got like a bank book. He found a bank book. He did something. And so I was like, oh man, my mom felt terrible. So I got this cheap car for my high school graduation. Whatever. Anyway, during high school, I also worked at Orange Julius, man. That was a gig.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about an employee discount. You know what I'm saying?
You drank the store dry.
I did. And a little aside, a fun anecdote, if you will, is Orange Julius in the early days, Paul. Do you recall this? Do you ever have an Orange Julius, man?
Of course.
Of course. In the early days, you could get a raw egg put in it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, for like protein. So the protein blast in the 80s was a raw egg.
Dang.
Yeah, it was just like, was that some
A little
food violation? I have no idea.
Salmonella with your orange juice.
Get that out, man.
I tell you.
So you would make the thing, and then you crack a raw egg in it and do the mixer.
Oh, sure. Foam it all up.
There was clearly something in that powder that desalmonellized or whatever you call it.
Evidently.
Yeah. I worked a ton of gigs, man. I cleaned the Sears Automotive Center on Saturdays and Sundays. I used to clean the Target office buildings, and I would wear headphones and listen to like Cecil Taylor, and I really got into a lot of avant-garde music. Clean It, Sun Ra. Think about how abstract that is, man. I'm walking around and like dumping in high school, dumping garbage cans from cubicles and their ashtrays because people could smoke in their areas of the thing. And so I'm dumping ashtrays. I got my headphones, my Walkman on, tapes, cassettes of Sun Ra and, late period Coltrane and, any Coltrane, but 60s on and all this stuff. And I'm just cleaning office buildings, taking all that stuff in. That was basically my high school years.
Woo! So you're listening to all this stuff. How does a kid who grows up in Minneapolis, surrounded by Husker Du, Prince, Camp, Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam, Replacements, Natural Life, Eric Cravat. How does this shape you musically? It seems like you would be quite confused, actually.
It's a great question, and something I really, really, I'm very proud to kind of be from this area because I think and that's why I moved back here. I lived in Los Angeles for many years after I tried out New York. I lived in Los Angeles for many years and I moved back here and started playing right away with some people that I consider to be highest level musicians, Anthony Cox and Bill Carruthers and people. That's how I met you guys.
Right.
And playing the old artist quarter, meeting Billy and knowing, because I moved really out of here when I was 18. So I didn't really know. Joe Police was my main teacher.
Oh, he's great.
He's fantastic. And he really hit me to a lot of stuff. That's how I got to know Cravat and got to know the band Kaminari that they had in the 80s.
Got it.
With Dean Grandross, who was one of my great heroes. And I really gravitated towards those guys, Cravat but I really feel very fortunate to be someone that was able to seek the music out, before the internet, before the end of LPs. I'm still from that last period of where you went to the library to check out records.
Right.
And you really had to be hungry for this stuff. And so since I was so into it all, like so into the R&B scene, so into the Husker Du punk Minneapolis early Soul Asylum all ages shows, seeing Bad Brains at all ages show, seeing Sonny Chirac play Ronald Shannon Jackson playing 7th Street Entry. I mean, I was there. Wow. I was that kid that was like an omnivore relationship with all of this. So while I was working on my straight ahead vibes with Joe.
Yep.
Joe Police, fantastic, incredible big band player as well, of course we know. And he really was like, okay, Dave, we're going to ground this stuff, all these influences coming. And then he said, you got to check out Cravat and all these things. So I was a Cravat disciple. And then it just led to me, I was always going to the Dakota, always going to the Walker, any all ages things I could get into. And then the Dakota would let me in to see people, and my dad would sometimes take me to see people that were playing Branford Marsalis. The Guthrie used to have a ton of shows, by the way. Remember that?
Sure did. Yeah.
I saw Wynton Marsalis 10 times in the 80s. He was there all the time. Branford, then Sonny Rollins. I got to see all these legends and then go to the Walker and see the avant-garde cats. So Bill Frisell would come in with Joey Barron and Jerry Allen with Verona Clough and Henry Threadgill. And so for me, it was all just the best music. It was just for me like, oh man, getting to know, getting to be friends with Michael Bland and getting to see you guys play and getting to all these things. It was for me, I just took it all in. It was just like, I didn't see a hierarchy in the relationship of that music. I never saw like the funk thing as a more like just like a visceral groove thing. I saw it as a insanely sophisticated, which it is. And the same thing with the punk rock thing, where I saw it as very intelligent reaction to things. I love the raw nature of it. And then I started to build those gaps between, the jazz that I loved from every era and the rawness of things and the humanity in that, all that music, and then the center of the groove of these things. And to me, it just became this omnivore thing. And then when I moved out to LA, I was interested in just playing everything. So I wanted to be able to do studio work. I wanted to be able to play some jazz with people. And do it in a way where I could afford it. New York, I just couldn't deal with. In 1989, it was like a freaking Abel Ferrara film still. You know what I mean? It was like barrel fires burning in the streets,
Right.
I was just like, oh man, I got to percolate. I got to marinate a few more years before I deal with New York.
You weren't quite ready.
No.
I hear you.
I know that one because I went there once upon a time, and I was probably 19, 20 years old, from the Midwest, carrying a briefcase into Central Park, and people were like, I thought I was going to die, and I had to go back and check myself into the hotel and go, you going to dive unless you change, like you said, marinate a little bit more.
Yeah. For me, it was like, a lot of people would go out and they would be in school, but I didn't have that cocoon of a school. So for me, it was more like, okay, well, how would I inject myself into anything? I'm 18. I'm not even of age.
Right.
I didn't have any real friends there at that point. So for me, it was more like just checking the temperature. I knew I wasn't going to stay. And so it was like, okay, I'll go crash on the floor of some people's, that they were in school. Excuse me. And then I went up to Boston and checked it out as well, even though I got accepted into Berkeley, but I couldn't afford it.
Got it.
And so it was that type of thing where I was just like, I can't afford any of this. But LA was like, well, maybe that's that idea where, if you talk about being a professional musician in other cities, mid-sized cities, you might know, man, it's like you come from a very heavy musical family, but when you don't come from a background that's like, there's some artists in the back. I mean, my grandmother was a ceramicist, so there was art in the family.
Okay.
But it was more like, when you mention you're going to be a professional musician, it mystifies any structure. They're just like, what do you mean you're going to like play what hotels? And I'm like, no. I'm going to try and take this all the way, And then it's like, what? I wanted to be involved with like a scene where if you talk about, in LA, you could say anything to anyone at any time and they just go, yeah, of course. You could say, I astral projected this morning and while I was going to, golf and then I was going to think about, getting the Carmen McRae gig after I astral project, and then the person goes, cool, yeah, I'm into that too, It's like
it takes that to be successful, though. I mean, really, if you don't have that kind of drive,
yes,
I believe it's hard to succeed. And I look at you because this is like our first time to actually get to chat, but I've been watching you for years and years, man, and you are a hustler. You do so many different things. You have so many different influences that I hear. I had a ball, by the way, researching for this interview, going through and listening to the 25,000 bands you're in, just kind of going, what is different about this? What's the common thread through all this? But you are, you're a go-getter, man, musically, and it looks like just in your life. It's if you want something, it's like, I'm going to work and I'm going to go get it. Is that true?
I mean, I'm definitely not great at leisure time.
Right. I was going to ask you how long have you actually sat in a chair? What's the longest stretch of time that you've sat still?
I'm told by everyone my whole life, I don't really do, like I said, I don't do a lot of just forced relaxation. For me, music, in fact, I identify even more now that we've all been sort of grounded or forcibly retired on some level.
Yeah.
Without a retirement fund. That's the other thing.
We'll talk about that later.
I knew I should have worked something out earlier when I was doing well. For me, it's just more like I recognize the healing nature of music. And I recognize that the self-healing nature of music. And for me, I've always felt that music represented more than just a fun thing to do or something where it makes me feel good. I want others to feel good as well. For me, and I assume many people, I hope many people, music provides a deeper salve, a soulful healing. And so for me, I've always felt like there's a part of me that feels like I want to be able to be a part of this process of healing myself and helping anyone else that's willing to accept it on any level, by approaching everything with the sort of vigor that it demands. Like the music demands a real technical agenda. It also demands a soulful agenda. It demands an agenda of what your purpose is doing it. And for me, when I'm sitting still, it's almost like a shark. I sink if I sit still because I feel like every day is a chance for me to be able to discover something musically, something artistically, because I'm into the fine arts as well. I'm into painting and photography and architecture. And I use these references a lot when I play and teach. And so during this time especially, it's just heightened my need for these things. And thank the Lord we have music and we have art and we have these things, because this is the time where the arts stand up and go, you see what I'm saying? You know, what I mean?
Right.
Music stands up and says to the general population, check it out, how much we need this.
Ooh.
And for me, it's not just like, I need this to go out and make my living. For me, that's always the idea where if I feel like if I take care of the music, it will take care of me. And I've always said that to myself. Like, if I go in and I work on these details and I work on my relationship with this thing and I make it pure as possible and I just go. For me, it's never been about like, I'm going to knock down every door. For me, it's just prepare to receive kind of thing. You know, that sounds a little Eastern, but it's really true. It's like, I want to receive it. So I want to be in the position to receive it when the door opens, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about relationships. You have an obvious relationship with your drum set. Would you call it that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
You seem to be on a quest, man. I mean, when I've had the pleasure of coming and seeing you play live or doing my research online, seems to be a natural curiosity. It's either that or you're never satisfied. What would you say to that?
Probably could be both.
Okay.
One thing maybe you've noticed, and I'm not saying like, maybe you've checked this out, Paul.
Send me a link,
you've
dude.
noticed this, Paul. But you're obviously a very high level musician, and I love hearing your take on things. And I think you're absolutely right. The thing about me, Paul, is that I like improvising, and when I say that, I mean I really want to improvise. I don't want to show up and play riffs, and so I typically don't play drum riffs. And I want to, when I find myself laying into all the languages that I know and study, and I go, oh, okay, well, I'll just, I'll find that space, that safe space of all the stuff I've checked out and all the things I want. That's fine, but for me, I want to be able to be in a moment musically and be able to explore every aspect of what can take place and have the role of the drum set reversed with the piano and reversed with the bass and have a dialogue rather than just the sort of like classic support role and then this person blows and this person blows and then we trade and then we're out or whatever. I've never wanted to be a part of the trope-laden way of going about artwork. I want to try, sometimes I fail miserably, but I want to have drama in there. Like, I want to put it out there where there's, I use Jack DeJohnette as a great example. I think it's someone who plays very dramatically. Like, you could tell he's not just like playing all the stuff he knows he can pull off. He's actually using real drama. Like, sometimes he's just like, you can hear it. It's just like going for something and it kind of clangs around back.
Yeah.
Like, wonderful, because he's not sitting there going, check this out that I worked out 1,000,000 times, or here's this GAD riff that I worked out from my video. It's like, man, it's not interesting to me. It's not enough for me. I mean, I'm into it on the level of like, hell yes.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, if I see somebody just playing recycled stuff that I've heard 1,000,000 times by the person who invented it, I'm just like, so you're doing an impression of what you think is necessary for this. And when you're in an improvisational musical setting, it's one thing if you're doing a session and you're like, you got an agenda for the leader, or you've got an agenda for the session you got to do. Then I'm in all the way.
Those are the goalposts, right?
Yeah,
those are the goalposts.
You got to do a Purdy thing, or you got to do a bottom thing, or you got to sit down and play a Shelly Mann style West Coast thing, or I get it. We can all sit there and reference all of our heroes all day long. Yep. But for me, I started to realize my heroes were always the risk takers. Paul Motion.
Yep.
The sort of postmodern thinking cats. Okay, like Dewey Redman, the Keith Jarrett American Quartet, Motion, of course, one of my great heroes.
Yep.
Joey Barron, DeJohnette, these second wave, Billy Hart, Al Foster, and then the rock zone, Stuart Copeland, Jim Keltner, Steve Jordan. These guys where you could tell when they had a moment to do a fill or something, it was completely idiosyncratic and personal.
Yeah.
Like, anytime Steve Jordan plays a fill, no one plays that fill, even though it's just some simple, boom, boom. It's like, it's never sounds it's not that simple. There's something, it's like Chuck Berry. There's something else going on there.
Originality, man. Exactly.
And I want to be a part of that. I've always wanted to be a part of that tribe where when you sit down, you're going to hear, you're hopefully going to hear something you haven't heard before, because I haven't necessarily heard it or dealt with it before. And that relationship of being willing to fail in the moment and being willing to have the thing be alive and not necessarily always getting nailed.
Yeah, right.
It's like, man, then the epiphany happens when it's like, woo, what was that?
Yeah, right. So you're living on the edge. You're living on the edge.
Yeah, and I sing that every time. I can pump myself up by singing that line right there. Exactly.
However, but it's talk about risk-taking, musical risk-taking. Is that the energy you thrive on? Is that what makes you stand out, do you think, from other cats?
Well, if I do stand out in any way, I think in my peers talking to me or whatever, if I stand out in any way, humbly, it's that probably is what it is. From any interviews I've done to talks with my contemporaries, to talks with some of my older jazz heroes, who people who, like Billy Hart has said to me many times, like, I've never heard anyone quite like you, man. You're some other thing. And he goes, I can identify a lot of people, but I can't quite identify you.
Right.
What's interesting is I take that as the highest compliment.
Of course.
Where it's like, I know everyone's like, you can read it a couple different ways. Is he saying I'm some alien that he doesn't even understand, whatever? Right. And he's basically, is it a backhanded thing? No, in many ways. And cats from different camps have said this to me, where, of course, I go through massive amounts of self-doubt at times and massive amounts of, I'm someone that's very like, I don't walk off the stage going like this, hell yeah. Even if people are like, they've never done that in my life. I've been like, well, man, we live to get to do that. I mean, I'm a positive cat. I get off stage going, hell yeah. And I go, hell yeah, that was sucked. I say that to myself.
Is there a little bit of self-hate sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I go deep into a zone of going, I got to find something here. I got to try, I want to keep this thing alive. I want to keep this, and I've done this with your brother many times, where when we played the Vanguard, with my trio, with your brother Billy and Bill Carruthers, another idiosyncratic genius from this area.
Totally.
It's like we went in as I had the chance to play a Vanguard week of my own after playing there for years with the Bad Plus, a couple weeks a year for 15 years. Where they finally offered me my own week about 7 years ago.
Right.
And I was like, I could do the thing where you bring in the well-worn path or you bring in the outsider art cats. And that's what I did. And I was so proud of all of us that week, Billy especially, because there we were playing the Vanguard, repping the Twin Cities. We're playing the Vanguard.
Twin Cities, baby. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And people were coming out and musicians were coming out to check out these two cats, Bill Carruthers, which people know in the sort of cultish way in New York.
Yep.
And Billy Peterson in this way of like, Billy's got his guys that know him. And then there's other generations of bass players who've never seen him before.
Right.
Guys from my generation, like Chris Lightcap and Reed from the Bad Plus and all these guys coming down. And there we were, man, not saying a word about what we were going to play, not talking about it, playing shit we've never played before. Just like looking at each other going like, okay, we're going to play like Someone in Love. And somebody just starts, and it's not just the normal impressionistic standard situation. It was real risk-taking. And to be able to have those risk-takers with me in the same way, your brother especially just kind of going, yeah, of course. I will tell you an incredible story, man, right now. Can I be tantric here and just keep going about your brother? He will love hearing this.
We're going to break away for a second here so I can tell you about a couple really important items. Number one, we have a brand new highlights page on YouTube. We want you to check it out. It's especially made by our intern, Jake Miller, for people who don't have quite enough time to sit through the entire video podcast. It's a great way to catch up on some great tidbits of information from all of our guests. You're going to have to search for it, I'm afraid, just simply because we need more subscribers on there in order for us to get a custom URL. But it's Music on the Run Highlights. You know what else is on there, you guys? A brand new feature that we've been doing strictly on Fridays. It's called Funk Friday. Got to have a little funk for your weekend. We feature great musicians, some former guests, some future guests, and it's a little 1 to 2 minute vignette of us jamming and funking out. And it's a great way to kick off your weekend. It's called Funk Fridays, every Friday. Check it out. It's on the Music on the Run highlights reel. And of course, you'll find it on Facebook and Instagram as well. All right, let's get back to the interview.
He will love hearing this. We're halfway through the week, and like I said, we're calling stuff, and we could just call really straight stuff too, like Body and Soul, and all of a sudden it's like a drone. Carruthers is doing this drone, and I've got like gong tones out, and it's just like a 1.5-minute long drone version of Body and Soul. I mean, stuff was happening all week like this because we were just like calling it, or somebody launches into something. And Carruthers, he will start playing some early Americana thing. Like I'm at the Vanguard and he's playing Strike Up the Band. You know what I mean?
That's Carruthers for you.
Oh, you can imagine how mystified some of the audience. I mean, just like in a beautiful way, though, in the most beautiful way of just gangster improvising.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And your brother is there, again, just like ears, maniacal ears, Billy Peterson. And he's coming from that Peacock, LaFaro, really elastic school, which a lot of cats don't do anymore.
Right.
So he's in there, this from another generation. I loved it. I was like, at 1 minute he can play the most rational thing, and the next minute he sounds like Sun Ra playing a standard.
Right.
He's just over there. I mean, playing these things are just like. So we're playing something. I can't remember what it was, Paul. But like, we get done with a set. And I'm talking to Carruthers, he's sitting there, what? Doing his like the Penguin from Batman. Like this. Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, mark. And I'm like, okay, well, what about just like that really sharp tones.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I said to him, man, I can't remember the tune. I go, but I said, we were playing blah blah blah. I said, Billy was playing so much incredible stuff, but it was like he lays out for this long time, and then he comes in and it's just sort of like really alien like concepts.
Right.
Carruthers is sitting there looking at me and listening, and I go, man, does he actually know every one of these tunes we've been playing? And Carruthers looks totally deadpan serious at me. He was dead serious. And he goes, no. That's all I said. No, he doesn't know that. And it was so genius. I was like, man, we're saying to each other on stage, do you know, you want to play blah, blah, blah. And Billy's just like, yeah, of course. And there's like
Yeah.
a couple of really obscure things. And you can see him, his ears are just so huge. He's just over there reconceptualizing the thing, laying out, jumping in whenever. And of course, Carruthers isn't leaving any roadmaps half the time. You know what I mean? It's
Of course not.
Carruthers is like giving you a ton of like, oh yeah, man, here's my Ivesian chromatic harmony version of Let's Strike Up the Band. And you know, can't you follow that? You know, that kind of thing. And it's like, Billy, and he just looked at me, he goes, no, he doesn't know that. And it just hit me like, who is going into the Vanguard and like you're playing stuff that the whole band doesn't even know. And you're just going for it. And I was just like, yep, this was the correct thing. This was the correct crew, real risk taking. No one is relying on tropes. You know, no one's relying on comfortable spaces that they know they can pull off.
Right.
And it became a real like epicenter for me of like, you know what, that's what I wanted to try and display. Some sets were not good. Some sets were profound, you know.
Right.
And it was like some sets were like, whoa, some people were coming back and hearing one set and coming back 2 days later going, man, what is this band, you know?
Right.
And I felt really proud of that. That's why I wanted to bring that up. It was just like, well, you know what? Sometimes we're really failing, but at least in the right situation. And by the way, I don't do this every situation, of course. If I'm playing in some straight thing, or if I'm doing whatever, the Bad Plus has this massive agenda technically where it's minimalism, swing, blues, grids, odd time, chromatic harmony, rubato. You got to have a large toolbox to deal with that. But it was just more like being able to just be in the moment, really be in the moment, and really try to make something new happen all the time. That's kind of my space I like to be in with improvisational texts. That's basically what I'm saying.
You know, we call Billy, my brother, the Planet Willard because of everything you just said.
Yeah.
Because he's just yes to everything. He's
Totally.
a musical risk taker.
Totally.
He's also super vulnerable as well.
Exactly.
You know, there is a relationship between risk and vulnerability, I believe, especially in that kind of music. And here's the other thing I noticed about you, and tell me if you feel the same way. I really get the impression that you don't give a shit about what anybody else thinks. And I mean that as a compliment, meaning you are able to get out of your own way and play the music that moves you in that moment. And I notice you almost like, and I'm not surprised to hear that you will enjoy the fine arts, because when you play the drums, man, you're painting. I mean, I'm hearing different strokes. You pick up some weird toy, and I'm like, what the hell color is that? And it's like, so you be putting different stuff on this canvas that I'd never heard before. And I've heard a lot of music, but it's it really feels like you can get out of your own way. Is that something that you can do automatically, or is that something you got to work at?
Well, like I said, you know, I mean, early on when my playing, I sounded a lot like my heroes or whatever. In fact, there's recordings of me in my late teens, early 20s, and I think I really sound, it's like it's really strong. It's really like, and then I went into a period of needing to find something original in myself. I was always attracted to the more original idiosyncratic players, Al Foster, all these people that when you hear them, there's like there's something up there that's different, you know, and Billy Hart, people like that. And also I wanted to be rooted in a historical perspective and a technical perspective. And the same thing with playing grooves or playing anything. When I went out to LA, I was playing studio stuff, playing a lot of songwriting demos with people, you know, playing a lot of avant-garde music, doing whatever. And then same when I moved back here, I wanted to be able to kind of like attract the right kind of risk taker improvisers. And in a way, for me, it's less about an aggressive, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, right.
For me, it's much more like if I'm overloaded with this sort of wanton need to please and all these other things, or wanton need to get over and get house and all of these things we know anyone can really do if they put their attention on that. For me, it feels less like an artwork in that way. It feels more like I'm doing a thing to make sure that I'm get everybody in. For me, it's always been more interesting to know that vulnerability, like you said, and your intent, if you combine vulnerability of risk taking and being a vulnerable person with the intent of just, listen, I like this stuff and you're going to like it too. No matter how out it is, and Bad Plus has this ethos. We like this, you're going to like it too. We like Ornette Coleman. We think you will too. Doesn't matter if you've checked out all the Ornette Coleman. Doesn't matter if you're just an indie rock kid or a punk kid or you're a jazz guy or you're whatever. We like this. We think you're going to like it too. The intent is to not dumb it down, never water it down, make it weirder, make it more original, have it jumping off from all these different corners of your life experience, but never have the impetus be, I want to get over with everybody. And that's why the stuff I even say on the microphone is really surreal, because the thing is that the whole thing to me should be this sort of surrealist cabaret. It's like you come to see a show and people are really improvising. And when you're talking to an audience, I'm not going, hey, everybody, thanks a lot for coming down. And we've got this is my mic spiel and everything. For me, it's like, this is our space of improvising. And this is not a safe space. And it's not a safe space to listen to either. And some of it might not work. So I'm not going to sit on stage and go like, yeah, everybody, we're just going to nail it pro style tonight. It's like, for me, it's much more interesting to be someone who goes, here, we're going to go for it. And it's a gift to get to go for it. So every moment I'm up there, when I get off stage, Billy will tell you this, Carruthers, anybody. Mm-hmm. And whether or not you want to trust it or not, I'm like, hell yeah, victory. Victory is ours. It doesn't matter if half the time, there's nothing I hate more than when somebody you're playing music walks off stage and they're like, oh, I couldn't find it tonight. Man, you know what, man? So what if you couldn't find it tonight? We got to do this tonight.
Right. It's all about attitude, isn't it, man? So your approach and your attitude.
Absolutely. It's like, yeah, I have off nights. I have off nights all the time. And, I might deal with those myself, but I'm not going to crowd the room and all my fellow musicians or the fans by saying, like, if a fan comes up to me and they're just like, man, that was really something, you moved me. And let's say I feel like crap about it.
Right.
I think I'm going to go like the false humility road, or like, oh no, man, we suck tonight. Or I'm going to do the, I'm not going to ruin their experience. Craig Tabor told me that once when I was feeling really bad.
Right.
So we did. And he goes, man, we moved one person in that room tonight. We changed their life tonight. There's nothing wrong with saying that, because we were that kid in the room, or we were that person in the room watching somebody have an off night and we were blown away.
Right. Right.
So if you're going to sit there and like be a narcissist about it and be like, oh man, it can only be good if I thought it was good. I hate that.
Well, I think a lot of that is a learned behavior though.
Yeah.
I think you need to learn how to allow yourself to suck and not take away from someone else's experience. It's natural for us to, I think, go and be in the dumps about it. But you got to learn how to change the attitude once again and allow it to be what it is.
Exactly. I'm going to plug my computer in, Paul. 2 seconds.
Okay. And while we have this break in the action here, don't forget about Dave King and his wonderful series. No.
All right. So you know what I'm saying? Let me see if it's working. You're saying exactly what I mean when it comes to, I'm not talking about being, by the way, some 19-year-old who's hanging out with the older cats and you're going like, hell yeah, we can do it. You know what I mean? It's like you realize when to say it and when not to, when to shut up and when not to. And but I'm saying, if you're in a group of peers and you're working and your focus is you really want to try and create something that has risk, that's pure, that has some sort of thing. None of us can be pure all the time. We got to have some other agenda every now and again. And I'm not claiming that there's total purity. But what I'm saying is if you've got an agenda where you're going to try and make something happen that's off the grid, that's off the, that's off the well-worn path. And sometimes we retreat to simplicity. We retreat to the things we know. I do it too. That's an important part of improvising. But the fact is that if you can't just allow that experience has to be let out into the world and you have to just let it go, and you can't torture yourself over it.
Let it go.
Yeah, you have to let it go, and you can't torture yourself over it too much. And that's a really important part of the process for me, is over the years getting to learn to just let it go more and more and more, and to be able to be like, you know what, my intent is to go for it tonight, and sometimes I'm going to get there. And I surprise myself sometimes, and I'm surprised by the musicians that I play with, and I'm inspired by them. And it doesn't matter if I'm doing hyper complicated music like the stuff I do with Craig Taborn or Happy Apple or the Bad Plus or these things with Julian Lage now, or Josh Redman or whoever, Bill Frisell, all these people that I've gotten a chance to play with and tour with, and all these things where you're dealing with multiple texts. I mean, the Bad Plus playing Stravinsky. Come on, man. There's not room when you're playing Ligeti and Milton Babbitt pieces.
Right.
Sorry, cats. I went for some new stuff tonight. Well,
Fired comes to mind.
There's a time and a place to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But for me, when I have that opportunity, I'd rather hang it out there than to play it safe. And that's it. You know, that's where it all comes from. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Let's talk about your creative outlets, because you've got so many of these. And in fact, before we get into the individuality of it, how do you juggle all the different things you got going on at the same time? Are you good at that?
I'm not great at it. In fact, I'm also a very devoted dad, and my kids are now 19 and 15, but I had set rules when my stuff started to really pop off more internationally in the early 2000s. Kind of going from a more indie notoriety in the late 90s with Happy Apple into Happy Apple and the Bad Plus, both kind of getting record deals in New York a lot, working with different people. And then over the course of the first several years, I would turn down basically anything outside those groups. I was asked to do a few things here and there from some upper echelon jazz people where I didn't want to take anything away, including all rock people as well. I got offered the Jeff Beck tour once, 2001, when I played with him in the early 2000s a bit.
Wow.
Stuff would come around like that, and I would say, okay, well, I'm not going to take away I'm an original band guy. I'm an original musician guy. I'm a composer. I'm not going to, as much as I want to play with some other people that I would get offered things, I didn't feel like I could take away, because I wanted to be able to be home when I wasn't doing that.
Is that a difficult decision for you personally to turn down someone like Jeff Beck? I'd have a problem with it. I'd be like,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, the last one was three years ago. Robert Plant contacted me about doing stuff. And that was one where I was like, oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
And, he came to see the Bad Plus, and we had he came to see me again with Julian Lage.
And you said no.
I just said, I just can't, his family, and they were just like, and I just said, right now I can't block the certain, time from, that I have set these tours, and I just can't do it. And the thing is that then when I'm home, I wanted to be with my children. And so I would put these parameters on like 2 weeks, and then I have to have 2 weeks off. So it became normal. It was very normal for them. It was like when I was home, I was 100% focused with them, off the road doing that. And then my groups like Happy Apple would go out to Europe or do a Bad Plus States tour, back home, doing these things. And then and some of the side band stuff that I would do that I was really attached to, Craig Taborn, Chris Speed, Tim Byrne.
Yep.
Some of these guys, there were some like Tim being one of my heroes growing up, and then like my peers like Craig and Chris, and now playing with Julian and Josh Redman. These types of things because I actually toured with Dewey Redman in the early 2000s. So I was like, playing with his dad, and then one of my great years. And then it was like, I only got to do a little bit of that, by the way, but it was like, I'm like, I'm out with Josh now doing these. It was fun to be the generations of the Redmans there. But the point is it was like, I would curate the things I felt like I could do and also keep my children connection. Like I wasn't just a ghost. I was with them all the time. They would come on the road. My kids have spent years on the road touring with me, having a blast, like coming out and do whatever. So for them, it was normal. But that's how I juggled it. And lately, before the pandemic, this last year and a half, I was trying to get extra money together for my daughter's college.
Right.
I lost a bunch of money during the housing crisis of 2008. I actually ended up having to sell my house for way less than I and invested in it. And so I was like kind of against the ropes as far as getting money for my daughter's school. So I was making it up by taking stuff, and I was going around the climb, out with Josh Redman, out with Bad Plus, out with Taborn, out with Chris Speed, out with Broken Shadows with Tim Byrne, doing sessions, doing records whenever I could. It just became a thing where I got the last year and a half before this, I was actually working. I mean, knock on wood, it'll come back, but I was actually pushing it too hard. It was like I was making up. My children were older. My daughter was already in college. My son's 15. It was like, you mind if I go out for 3 weeks? And he'd say, yes. And I would fly him to New York or something if I was there for a week. It's just the balance is difficult for me in general to be organized enough to be able to pull this off. I'm thankful to get to be able to do any of it, and hopefully it'll come back.
Of course.
But for me, it's always been a struggle to, always hold my kids there and my original projects first, and everything else that I want to do, I try and see. Whatever. I don't want to make it sound like, by the way, Robert Plant was making an official offer. It was more like he was testing the thing. But I want to make it clear that if I wanted to really go, listen, Robert Plant, I'm coming after that gig.
Right.
Who knows? I could probably. Right. Jeff Beck was an absolute yes. And then I've had Dave Douglas, other people ask me for projects over the years. I could start naming people and looking like whatever. But it's like, for me, it's always been like my own bands first, my family first, my own bands. And then from there, I'll see what I can do. And thankfully, I've been asked by some nice people to do stuff. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to juggle it and be a human being, which is difficult.
Here's what's so important to this particular podcast, because it's called Music on the Run. And what you were just explaining about your family and the importance of your kids and how you show up for them is what not only the musical information we're trying to pass on, but the how to survive and thrive with your family while you're on the road. And a lot of people up and coming need to hear that it can be done. Yeah. A lot of people don't know how to organize that. Yeah. And a lot of people have different methods on how to do that. You say you're 2 weeks on, 2 weeks at home, 2 weeks on, or at least while they were growing up until this last spurt.
Yeah. Or a week, whatever, it's less, hopefully.
Well, yeah, but you make it a priority, is what I'm hearing from you.
It was, and in fact, I had early on stated that I'm not going to do. My limit was 2.5 weeks, because sometimes going to Europe you'd have to do, and I would say my limit is 17 days, and then I need the same on the back end, and it would become where we would sacrifice a certain amounts of a larger paying festival hits or whatever. I just held true to it, and I had everybody around me support it, like the Bad Plus members who grew up together, Happy Apple members who grew up together. So everybody kind of understood.
Right.
Since I was the first to have children or first whatever. And I had a very, very, very supportive, but she and I are still close, but my ex, the mother of my children, the very, very supportive backdrop of like, okay, we knew this was going to be with us. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. We knew we were going to be able to fly the kids and come meet me places, because even in those 2 weeks, they would come out a lot of the time. So my children got the benefit of traveling. You could see that they've traveled the world in the way that they are. They've seen the part of the world. They've seen a lot of America. It became a thing where I felt it was valuable to them. And since they knew no different, they didn't know that, like, oh, where'd daddy go? Of course it was difficult when there'd be a birthday that I would miss, or I feel terrible. And we would talk every day. Every day on the phone, I would make sure that I speak with them multiple times, ask about school, get on the camera when we could. In the early days of the camera, you'd attach to the key.
Oh, boy, do I remember that.
I know that as being a dad as well. It takes dedication. But I wanted this. This wasn't based on, like, my guilt of whatever. I needed to be there with them. I needed
and emotionally.
I needed them more, hopefully as much as, hopefully they needed me as much as I needed them, because I needed them and still do.
Of course.
So for me, it was never about like, oh, I got to be off the road, or these sort of cynical relationships that people have sometimes with their whatever. The only way I could pull this off is having the support.
Mm-hmm.
And still do have that support. And that's the gift that I give back, is being able to be present when I'm there. Be able to afford giving them the food that they need to eat, giving them the shelter, giving them the education, making sure they're taken care of. And for me, that was what it needed to be always. Just I had to be connected to that and could never let it go.
I think that shows up in your art, though, too.
I appreciate it, man. It doesn't.
I can tell what kind of guy you are by the way you approach your art, and it is art. What you do with the drums is. Yeah, you can bang, you can do whatever, but the way you paint behind that drum set is a sight to see. I want to talk to you a little bit more about your road routine. So if you're out and about, I'd love to know what a normal day looks like for you.
Sure. And then I'm unfortunately going to have to close it down after this because I'm 2 and I have to start teaching again because I'm teaching.
Totally got it.
In fact, can I plug my teaching on your podcast?
Would you please?
www.drums.study is my teaching link. You can go there and book an hour or half hour. I've been getting lessons from all over the world. It's been wonderful. So thanks for the support on that. My daily routine on the road, if it would be the bad plus, would simply be wherever we are, we're going to get to the next place. I try to stay in shape as much as I can.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Get into the gym whenever you can because it's so good for your brain. And it's hard, as you know, to get up and get going if you only got 20 minutes or a half hour and get up that much earlier and hit it. I try to eat healthy as well. In my early years of touring, I was putting on a little bit of weight because I was a drummer, and like you eat dinner, then you play, and then at the end of the show, you're starving. Getting
right.
able to go to bed hungry. I mean, that's something when you play the drums, as you know, Paul. Like you eat dinner, and then you play a 90-minute set, and then it's like good night, and then you're in the room starving, And I just started to get used to the idea of taking care of myself again. And this is 10 years ago or so when I started to really get back into getting in shape again. And being able to take care of myself that way and realize if I want to play the long game of live music, you gotta stay into the long game. You gotta have a focus as far as taking care of your body and your brain and stay connected emotionally. And so I make it a focus to try to get as much sleep as I can, even though it's very difficult. Fatigue is on the road. And then be very conscious about taking care of myself, eating, not taking it too out, and just stay connected to the people that you love. And then it feeds that sort of cyclical engine of just that's why you're out there doing it. Make sure you're taking care of the artwork and not feeling, you're keeping your decisions in a space where it makes you feel like you're doing something important on some level. That's what I try to do out there.
Dave, thanks so much for your time. What a blast to get to know you. And before you go, I got to show you this, man. Can you see the signature on this?
Yes. That's Elvin. Oh my gosh. That's so good. I have my Elvin autograph about 17 feet away from me right now on the wall.
Do you?
You and me. I'm telling you, I can't wait to hang with you in person.
Oh man, Paul, we got to hang. In fact, I'm going to show you you got your Elvin one there just for the fun of it. I'm going to hold mine up.
Okay.
It's an old, yep.
It's kind of glary in this picture here, or this light. That's Elvin Jones's.
Oh, here's Paul. Then I got to teach this lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see it with the glare? Shoot.
I got it. Hold it right there. That's perfect. And we both are holding it up. That's so great. That's at the Dakota, right?
Dakota when I was a kid. Yep.
Wow. Dave King, I love you, brother. And please go to Rational Funk. And I mean, we didn't even get to talk about your... Yeah,
Rational Funk's up there. Go to the rationalfunk.tv.
Okay, man.
Thank you, man. We're going to hang sometime soon, I hope, buddy.
We shall. Thanks so much. And that's it for this episode of Music on the Run, episode 14 already. Thank you so much to Dave King for coming along on the ride on Music on the Run. We will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we love you. Music on the Run was hosted by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Edited and produced by my buddy Davide Raso. Video editing by Ivan Sebastianov. And a very special thanks to the people who financially support this podcast. And remember, drummers are people too.